What's up everyone, it's your boy Infrar-Ed. Welcome to the Scout Reports. Today I'm bringing you an anime review of Mobile Suit Gundam Iron-Blooded Orphans Season 2 Episode 13, aka Episode 38, whatever you want to call it. Merry Christmas first and foremost, happy holidays or what have you, but you know how I do it. I want to start this episode off hype, but I can't start this episode hype after seeing what's going on with Mikazuki, what's going on with my boy, my son right now. After doing battle in the Barbatos against the mobile armor. I mean, it's a little bit of hype there because he did go in. He ripped that mobile armor to pieces. He ripped it to shreds and he didn't want anybody to help him in this battle. The Shovel Knight Grimgird, he was like, get out of the way. Juletta, you get out of the way too. He physically tore this thing apart as he fights in the Barbatos like he's in somebody else's body. He literally tore the thing to pieces, including the Barbatos itself, because that's how much he put into it. And now that he has awoken this state of reaching the full limit of his powers, it reminded me of the Trans Am mode from Gundam 00, so it's really good to see these old school elements coming into this series because it was substantially stronger and faster, and while it was zipping around, people said they could barely see it and you saw the little red trails coming from the eyes. But therein lies the problem, because how much is this taxing his body? The ramifications of it is way larger than we think, because now Mikazuki has lost the use of his legs entirely. After going into this state, he had already given up his eye for the Barbatos, gave up his arm, and we actually saw him reach into the sky, and we saw the robot reach into the sky, which we see in the opening. And now we know why he is crawling in the opening as well, because he's completely lost his legs, his mobile functions in his legs. He says when he's near the Barbatos, he can move, but when he's away from it, somebody got to carry him. You saw Hush, he was carrying him around. He has to sit down like he's a paraplegic now, and he only has a function of his legs when he's in the Barbatos. So I'm really worried about Mikazuki and the state that he's going to be in by the end of the series, because he's either going to be a complete vegetable or he's going to have to be a cyborg. And we know Gundam will go there. I mean, go way back to Zeta Gundam and what happened to Camille in that series. And now I'm beginning to really worry about Mikazuki, and Gundam will go there. Gundam will have him be in that state where he can't do anything else or function. He might even have to be fused into the Barbatos. And it's kind of bittersweet because he realizes now that he's losing his body in order to fight this war, but he still wants to do it, because if he can fight for a world with peace where war is not needed, then he's decided that's what he wants to do. And Orga knows he needs to stop him, but at the same time, Orga's being a little bit selfish too, because he's not pulling Mikazuki out of this war. He wants to keep enabling him and letting him go ahead and fight forward, because he knows that he's not going to stop. And it was mentioned by Meribit, if Orga said, just stop, Mikazuki probably would, but he wants peace, and he wants peace at the shortest route possible. And we saw Orga having this conversation with Naze in this episode, where Naze saying you're beginning to do whatever it takes. You're beginning to be a little bit reckless to obtain the shortest route possible, but are you doing the right thing? You're risking Mikazuki now. Mikazuki's practically a vegetable unless he's in his Gundam. The ramifications, I think, is just too high, and I got a feeling now we're gonna have a bittersweet ending to this series. Something else that we talked about in the comments, which was very entertaining last week, is this could very well be the first Gundam that has a season 3, or at the very least, maybe we'll get an OVA, or maybe even a series about the Calamity War, because the Calamity War is becoming too big of a factor in the second half. It's just too much information out there, and the things that happen in this war is becoming too important to keep glossing over and just mentioning it in passing. But at the same time, we're at the halfway point of this series, so we may not have time to cut away to show the Calamity War. I know I, for one, I would love to see some type of series about the Calamity War, about Agnika and everybody that fought with the mobile armors, some of the rest of the Gundams. I know it's like 72 of them, and we wouldn't get all those, but at the very least, maybe we can see the main war or something like that. Or maybe even having Iron-Blooded Orphans be the start of a new Universal Century, or starting the Calamity War or something like that and show as a new Universal series. I'm all for that, because I mentioned before, I would like to see a remade version of the Universal Century. Not necessarily going back to like Char and Amuro, but maybe just making a brand new one and have other Gundam series branch off from there. That would be awesome. Now on to the political side of things, because you know, after a really big battle, Gundam takes its time to slow down and build things back up again. Teiwaz has finally made their intentions clear to Orga, because what they were doing was kind of in the shadows, but now they've made it blatant as he handed that ceremonial cup back to the old man and said, you know what, if you ever deem that we are worthless to you, then let us go. But he seemed kind of salty about the whole King of Mars ideal that Orga is now going with and aligning with Farid and Gjallarhorn. And basically what's happening is what we feared, is now Teiwaz, they don't want to let go of Tekkadan because they can still profit if they end up winning this position on Mars. But at the same time, he assured them and said straight up to Orga's face, if you become a threat or we feel slighted or betrayed by you, we will cut you off. Like this cup right here, this cup is not the only thing that's going to be crushed. So you still have Gillespie moving along in the shadows, as well as he has aligned himself with Iuk, and this idiot, I'll get to him in a second. But now we also see the two splits of the war on each side, because you have Tekkadan assigned with McGillis, and then you have basically Teiwaz assigned with Rustal's unit, or a bit at the very least Iuk's unit. And this is all just going to lead to trouble for Tekkadan overall. And Iuk, this idiot, is trying to out Farid at the middle of the table with the 7 stars, and no one's paying him any attention. They're just looking at him like, dude, shut up. And Rustal pulled him aside while they were walking like, look, you need to calm down. We can't prove what McGillis did. So until we do, shut your mouth. Just be a good soldier, you idiot. And apparently there's going to be a new armor that's coming along as well that Juletta is going to end up piloting. And I can kind of see something forming between her and Galeo, because even though Galeo is on this revenge mission, he keeps, you know, reassuring and keeps being there to ask her, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Do you know what you're doing? Are you going down the right path? So that is always a high point of Gundam, to show both sides of the war. I mean, even though as the viewer we're against Gjallarhorn, we can kind of see some of the characters having qualities that you can respect, like we're seeing with Galeo, who overall just wants revenge. And Farid, we're getting to the point with him where after what happened, you can't ignore when he saw the Vidar. That everything with that is coming to light, as it was pronounced that Galeo's dead and the Chimeras was actually apprehended. But we know it's out there, and after Farid seen what the Barbatos can do at his full strength, we're beginning to see that deviousness once again. I keep waiting for this guy to just say fuck it and just go straight up heel turn, because he was like, I don't remember the exact quote he said, but it was more along the lines of the true path to peace or to domination basically is by pure strength. And he saw what the Barbatos can do in his full strength, and he's enticed by that. And the Vidar is actually the Chimeras. I'm pretty sure it's like an upgraded version of the Chimeras, and that's a Gundam as well. So I'm wondering if he's going to try to take the Chimeras, or maybe try to find a Gundam for himself, because we need to get rid of that Shovel Knight Grimgird. We need to get that real one back. Maybe he's gonna get a Gundam too, I don't know, but he definitely wants to use Barbatos as a tool to rule with this iron fist, even though at the table he's saying, you know, I don't care about position and things like that. We know that's not true. We're just waiting for it to unfold. And also out of nowhere, Atra just said to Kudelia, like, you know what, maybe you and Mikazuki ought to have a kid. So she's still trying to keep that harem thing going. But I would definitely say the biggest part of the episode was to see Mikazuki just in this vegetative state where he can't move his legs. He's crawling around, and he says, I need to be near the Barbatos in order to move. And Orga looking, saying, you know what, I'm not gonna apologize. And then when Mikazuki wakes up and he basically says, you know, I'm doing this for you. That's what he said, you know what, I want to stay in a world where I don't have to fight anymore. I don't have my body. I can't move my leg. I can't move my arm. I'm missing an eye. My body is only for war right now. That's the only function that I have. So if this is all I can do, then I want to use my body to fight for war. Man, it's just really somber, because don't see a clear or good outcome happening to Mikazuki unless they can do some type of cybernetics or just forge him into the Barbatos, which would be worst case scenario and would suck even more. He could even die at this point, and that would really, it'll hit home. It's like this typical Gundam, but I just want to see something better for Mikazuki because he has came so far as a character to the fact that even though, yeah, he's still doing what Orga asks and he's putting his body and his life on the line, he's doing it for a purpose besides just being a weapon now. So that was the episode in a nutshell, guys. So definitely let me know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. If you like this video, go ahead and drop it a like, and if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, as there's not a shortage of content for you guys to indulge on this channel. And as I always say, you guys can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me. And I really appreciate that, so thanks for stopping by. On that note, it's your boy Infrar-Ed signing out. See you soon.